Hey, and salam alaikum, alaikum salam, kasam alakutare. Good day, good day. Sorry I'm coming up here a little unclothed, but today I'm at the house, no work day for me today. I figure I'd get on here real quick and make a video. Kind of like, you know, going back almost to the video where I spoke about learning certain processes that will help you to become a better not a better practitioner, but better efficient in your practice, depending on the circumstance that you have or the client has. And what I want to speak today about is the importance of binary or knowing a divination system. It doesn't have to be binary code, but knowing a divination system that you and your Inkisi are well understood and well, trained to understand, because we spoke about learning, right? Some of the processes in life, just in life, of us humans, of how things happen, the system here, the world that we live in. There are certain things that we should at least know a basic or the basics of to help those out. But at the same time, if you're not very well versed, very well studied on whatever type of divination system you use, it could be detrimental to you and it could be detrimental to the client that you're trying to help. Because we understand, right, that even though we put our emotions, we put our heart, our mind, some say vibration, when we do certain types of work, or actually all of them, that we do, we have to be in a state of mind, depending on the situation. We have to shift from being Andy to being Tatazogo inside that Munanso, in front of that Inkisi. So your whole perspective changes. You can't be Andy inside there. You can't be you inside your Munanso in front of your Inkisi. You have to, depending on what you're doing, you have to change, and know that where you at that moment and at that time is different. You're not here in the world anymore. So what happens? You have a client, right? Your divination system is not too well, not too good. You perform some type of bilongo medicine or something for this person to help this person on a situation. And because your lack of understanding, your lack of knowledge, which a lot of us, are still learning, it either turns out great for you and for the client, or does not turn out that successful, that good, for that client. And we don't want that, right? Because it makes, see, I'm the type of person, I'm not worrying about really me. I'm worrying about my elder. I'm worrying about the Munanso, the Rama, the Tronco Mayor, where I got accepted in. You understand? So not only when you are doing things right for people, your padrino, your madrina, and all the lineage that comes backing you up, you putting them in a certain circumstance, because everything that you do reflects on the whole lineage. You understand? So we want to be able to learn and do things more proficient, more correctly, not only to help out the person, right, and to be successful, but also you as an elder, you as a priest or priestess that's coming from a lineage, you are representing that lineage. So not only you have to do things right and look good on your part, you're also making the whole lineage behind you not fall on the ground. You understand? Not made to look bad, or that you was taught wrong, or that lineage you come from is facenda, is fake, it's no good. So it's something, that it's, if you have this understanding, it's not easy to just come and take people on like that, because these are responsibilities, and you have a duty to hold up that rama you come from, to hold up your padrino, your madrina, to hold up those ancestors. It's a duty of yours. And it's a difficult duty. It's not easy. Because like I said, any mistake or anything that you say or do, whether in or out of the munanso, you're being accounted for. And you're not only being looked at as the one doing or speaking or whatever it may be, they're also looking at the rama. You understand? And then they're looking at who's your padrino, who's your madrina. Wow, they must not have taught you so well, that you're doing these type of things not so great, so it's very hard to take just anybody. It's very hard to do things for people when you have this mindset. Anybody else, they could do whatever they want. But like for me, it's hard for me. I just don't take everything on like that, because I reflect back on everything that's behind me, or that I represent and that represents me. Now, what I'm trying to speak about is the work that you do for people, whatever belong you do for people. You have to understand that if your divination is not right, you have a problem. Because you have to remember that we always say this word, right? What comes around goes around. We say the yin and the yang, right? The white and the black, right? We say polarity, the positive, the negative. Well, you could do a job for somebody that works out great. But if you don't understand that divination process correctly, all that positivity that you see that looks great and worked out, at the long run, there could be something that's going to come back to you and to that person, or vice versa, because you did not understand what exactly was that Inquisi, that Muerto, that Enfumba is speaking about. You didn't know the consequences of by doing such a job or a medicine or a bilongo to help yourself or someone else was going to bring something behind it. That might not happen in the moment, but in time could come or will come. So these are the things that we got to be very mindful, and why it's so important to learn divination. Whatever divination system you learn, be good at it. Master it. Practice it. Ask your elders questions so you can become more proficient and more great at what you do, and understand that Inquisi that you are working with. Like that, you don't leave no untied ends, no loose ends. And when you do something, that knot that you tied is strong and is effective. You have to understand that every time you do some type of bilongo work, there's going to be a duality to it. And that duality that comes behind everything is something that we in life go through every single day. We live this. When you live life, right, and you start understanding, you start realizing that everything that you do in this life is like a business. It's almost like it's a negotiation. When you go to work, you're negotiating. You're negotiating your time, your skill to get paid, right? So it's a negotiation. When you get into a matrimony, you, your spouse, or vice versa, you guys are negotiating. It's a negotiation. When you stop at a red light and decide that you want to eat that light, you're negotiating what? Your car, your life, that somebody might come and run, come correctly because you're the one that's eating the red light, and you're negotiating the car, your life, because you decided to eat that light. That's negotiation. Life consists about daily negotiations, whether we understand it or do not understand it. Same thing happens in Kisimalong and in most of or all the traditions. When you do some type of work for somebody, you are negotiating something for something else. And you have to know, what are you negotiating? And when I say negotiating, we negotiate in the spiritual, in the spiritual side, and in here the materialistical, or let's say the human side, both ways. Because nothing comes from nothing. You understand? So the same way, if nothing comes from nothing, we have to understand that when we are doing any type of work in front of the Nkisi, anything, whether it's for ourselves or for someone else, to truly understand what is being negotiated. Because you could end up with a great outcome, right? But down the line, that great outcome is going to come a form of something not so great that you're going to go through, or you're going to live by it. And if you don't understand what is being negotiated of, because of not having a good divination system or not understanding, then how you know what's being negotiated? How? If you do something, right? Let's say if it's put it on yourself, you're gonna do some type of belongo, right? That's gonna bring, you want to bring a little symbol in your life. You don't want to become a millionaire, but you want to become a little symbol, a little, or you want to receive a little bit more symbol, right? And you do a type of medicine. You know, you gotta verify and do everything what your Nkisi says, and do whatever you need and the belongo you need and all that to put that in effect, right? So you could either get hired, or more business comes to you. You know, then you have to understand that in order for more business to come to you, something's got to happen. Some change has to happen. It's like the weather, and depending on the country you live in, at certain hours it's hot, at certain hours it's cold, at certain times it's windy. Where I'm at, the seasons change. You know, like we have winter, spring, summer, fall. We have these changes. So you have to understand that there are changes. There are things happening when we are doing spiritual works. There are negotiations happening in the spiritual realm in order for what you want or what you're trying to do to come to fruition. So we have to understand and know what is being negotiated. Because if you don't know what's being negotiated, because you do not understand your Nkisi or your Muerto correctly, you could be negotiating somebody from your family, somebody, your own life, your own, and when I mean your own life, literally your own life, or less time or some time of your life being taken off, or things happening to you, you know, getting into accidents, having arguments with your spouse, family problems, children's, if you have a monanso, probably godchildren issues and stuff like that, because things get negotiated. And you have to understand this. This is something very, very important for us to understand. We just don't do bilongo to for everybody and do not understand what is being negotiated. Because everything that we do has its negative and its positive, has its yin and has its yang, and has its what comes around goes around. So we have to be very good and very proficient in divination to be able that when we do certain types of bilongo to help wensaras, to help either ourselves or anybody else, we not hit so hard, or if anything, very minimum, with that other side of that polarity. Everything flows back and forth. That negotiation. It's like saying, if you need a liver transplant, right? And you get put on a list, somebody has to die in order for you to receive that liver. Right? Somebody has to die for you to receive that liver. So one death that's looked upon, in a more sad, negative way, for you is looked upon as great. I got a liver. I could live. You understand? Positive. Same way it happens when you do bilongo, when you're doing saras for yourself and for people. Be very careful. Be aware of what you're doing. Understand the processes. Understand what you're being negotiating, while you're negotiating. And be very mindful, because this is no joke. These are things that the more you see and you understand and you go through certain things, the more you become more self-aware that we're not playing around. This is no joke. I hope you guys have a great day. I'm sorry for the not having a shirt on. Salam alaikum, alaikum salam, kasambe lakutare. Think about what I said. Be safe. Leave a comment. Thumb up the video. Subscribe. And you guys know, tatazongo21 at yahoo.com. Anytime, any questions.